Welcome everybody to the 2023 Honda CRV. Wait, I think you've heard me say that before. And yes, you are right. I have done a very thorough review of the CRV where we talk about how it feels to drive, how it looks, all the features, how the space is, everything. The link to that video can be found on the top corner of your screen. The differences between that car and this car, well, that was the midline sport trim. This is the flagship top of the line Touring Hybrid. Now, let's see the differences between both the cars. What are the differences then? Well, that was the Civic Sport, which meant it was only having the gas engine, the 1.5 litre turbo VTEC engine, which is immensely popular and now a part of most of Honda cars in their lineup. This is a 2-litre naturally aspirated engine mated to electric motors. So that produced about 185-190 horsepower. This has 204. Now, the difference might not seem a lot on paper, but when you drive it, the feel is there. Definitely you will feel those extra 15 horsepower on a day-to-day basis. Visually, the differences are even lesser. So the thing that identifies this as a touring is perhaps the chrome accents on the bottom of the bumper, and a bit of the headlights are smoked. You have a chrome line running around the window line, and that's about it. When you go on the inside, the changes are also very minor but important, because those changes uplift the whole experience by a huge margin. The things are like the leather seats. The Sport had fabric seats. This has very premium finished leather seats with red stitching, which honestly looks so good. You have the famed 9-inch touchscreen, which has wireless CarPlay, Android Auto, wireless charging, everything. The Sport had a very small basic screen. This also has a more in-depth MID screen in the gauge cluster, which I really like. And this also has heated steering. So again, it's very bonus. I mean, you see the environment, it's snowing. So the heated steering goes a long way. Aside from that, there is a bit more usage of gloss black and leather around the interior, which totally uplifts the experience, and it feels like a true CRV. All this comes at a cost though, and more on that later. Now behind the wheel of the CRV Hybrid, so let's get the numbers out of the way. This has a 2-litre naturally aspirated gas engine mated to an electric motor. That combined output is 204 horsepower and about 275 newton meters of torque. It has a eCVT gearbox, and this is the all-wheel drive. So the hybrid is only available with all-wheel drive. Let's see how this car drives. So slot the gear lever into drive. So there's P, R, N, D and B. So B is normally for engine braking, so you can use that in city limits for maximizing the regen that this car has. So yes, this car does have regen. Normally hybrids don't, but Honda has been implementing this really well, because it's the same in the Accord hybrid as well. So that has regen as well, and I think it's pretty much the same tech. But I did find that the tuning is slightly different in this, because in the Accord, the hybrid system was very eager to switch into the EV mode, and there was a dedicated EV button as well, which this doesn't. So I feel like it's almost there, but it's different in some key areas. Otherwise, it drives really well, and the low-end torque is really good. I mean, the 1.5 VTEC turbo is also pretty good low-end, but I feel like this is better because there is just that much of a hint of no turbo lag. So you don't actually have to rev this engine to get going. Plus, you do have the EV assist at lower RPM and mid-range and higher range. So if I floor it, as you can see, it actually picks up speed really well. The road, the conditions are really bad today because it snowed last night, so it's very slushy. But this car feels very planted and does not feel all over the place. I'm sure the winter tires play a big part, because this does come with great Michelin X Ice. But the all-wheel drive system is also very assuring, and it drives really well. The steering feel is very nice, and it's very easy to just drive this crossover around in tricky situations, in corners, on highways. It's a great cruiser. Honestly, it's a very accomplished car, very accomplished chassis, which I said similarly in the Civic Sport, the CRV Sport review as well. It's just very nice, very comfortable, and now with all the amenities inside, with the nicer screen, the wireless CarPlay and everything, it just feels very perfect, very homely, and very justified of the price. Now you notice that this is paddle shifters, but this is actually not paddle shifter. These are actually buttons to just play with the brake regen mode. So I can have the regen in the normal D mode as well, but it tends to auto go back to the lightest setting. So if I put into brake highest, it holds the regen. So if I lift off, it actually slows down and it charges the battery, and it goes into EV mode more eagerly than it would in regular drive mode, which is something more useful of such a hybrid. Honestly, this tech setup is really good, and I wish that if it went more into hybrid, I feel like it would have been more efficient than it is. It's not inefficient in any way. I've been getting a mix of 7.5 to 8 liters per 100, which includes a lot of bumper to bumper traffic, a lot of highway driving, a mix of all conditions, which is really not bad. But the Accord did it better, and the Accord was a heavier car. Because of that tuning of the EV system, I feel it's not quite there. But yeah, once you use it, I have like set it on the max regen, and I can really feel actually didn't have to brake for that corner, but it just drives so naturally well. It just feels so nice, just at home. And yeah, what can I say? I mean, Honda always knows how to make a good driving crossover. The CRV Sport was a great driving crossover, and this one is also the same. Even though this comes with bigger 19-inch wheels, it just rides the same, drives the same, and it's just such a perfect crossover, and I can see why this sells by the hordes. In conclusion, then, the 2023 CRV Touring Hybrid. Well, this feels like a true CRV because it's very luxurious, it looks really good, it drives really well. It's also decently efficient because of the hybrid tech that this car packs. The only downside I'd say is perhaps the price. And this before taxes is almost 50,000, 49,700 or so. With taxes is almost 55,000, which is a lot of money for a CRV. A few years back, and that would have been Badger money. But in today's age, this car is very, very complete because it's got the boot space, it has got all the tech, and as I said, it's just a CRV, which means it rides well, handles well, and it is very spacious for the family. And did I mention it's probably very reliable as well. Now, would you opt for a sport or a touring? The price difference is pretty significant, but I feel like the extra money goes a long, long way. And if I were in the market to buy a CRV, I might just save up and go for this top of the line touring because it feels worth it.